Let's begin today's U.S. Capitol tour in the great state of North Carolina. Its capital is located in Raleigh, right smack dab in the middle of the state. The Greek Revival building was completed in 1840. Being one of the oldest Capitol buildings in the country, it was declared a National Historic Landmark in 1973. Today, this iconic building only houses the offices of the Governor of North Carolina. Some of the more prominent features surrounding it are a statue of U.S. presidents from North Carolina. From left to right, as you're looking, are James K. Polk, Andrew Jackson, and Andrew Johnson. There's also a statue of George Washington on the Capitol grounds. Although from Mount Vernon, Virginia, a few hours north, General Washington spent much of his time in the Tar Heel State. As we move north to the state of New York and Albany, home to this very uniquely designed structure. Completed in 1899 at a cost of $25 million, about $500 million in today's terms, it was the most expensive government building of its time. The Romanesque Revival and Neo-Renaissance architectural style make it one-of-a-kind state capitol viewing. It is hard to visit this building and not feel the presence of a young Teddy Roosevelt, or years later his cousin Franklin Roosevelt, whom both got their political starts on these grounds. Moving east into Pennsylvania, we make a stop in Harrisburg and the Beaux Arts Renaissance Green Domed Capitol building, which was completed for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in 1906. Many think the seat of the government of this regional colony is in Philadelphia, where it was until 1799, but it settled in the town of Harrisburg in 1812. The current complex is actually the third Capitol building in the city of Harrisburg, and as Teddy Roosevelt said at the building's dedication, "It is the handsomest building I have ever seen." It too was added to the National Registry of Historic Places in 1977. Traveling east to Ohio, located in the center of this very populous state, is the sawed-off dome and the state capital of Columbus. The construction of this Greek Revival complex started in 1839, but took 22 years to complete due to many challenges, including a cholera epidemic. The final plans called for its very unusual low conical roof, where you would expect to see a dome. On the grounds of the Capitol is a large monument dedicated to Ohio Governor and U.S. President William McKinley. The working offices of the governor are no longer housed in this building, but there are still ceremonial offices located on the first floor. Continuing our quest for Capitol knowledge, we continue east to the state of Indiana and its largest city, Indianapolis, which houses the State House. The majestic building was built in 1878 and is the fourth Capitol building built since statehood in 1816. One of its chief builders was Civil War General Thomas A. Morris, and the grounds of this Capitol pay a great deal of respect to Indiana's contribution to the Civil War. The building was designed in the shape of a cross. The four-story structure was intended to hold the entire government of the state. In the front of the complex is a statue of Oliver Morton, who was the governor during the Civil War. Taking the Dixie Highway south, we head to Music City, USA, Nashville, Tennessee, and its historic monument. Yes, this Greek Revival structure is one of only 12 state capitals that does not sport a dome. Completed right before the Civil War in 1859, the Capitol grounds were used during the war for troops. Both the interior and exterior were built from limestone, located a mile from the site by predominantly commercial and slave labor. On the grounds, a magnificent statue of Andrew Jackson on horseback rises on one of the entrances. Another monument pays tribute to World War I hero Sergeant Alvin C. York, who resided from Pall Mall, Tennessee. Sergeant York received the Medal of Honor for his heroism against the Germans. A statue devoted to President Andrew Johnson by Jim Gray can also be found on the grounds. Another fact is that President James K. Polk is buried in a tomb on the grounds of the Tennessee Capitol. Heading up the mighty Mississippi, we next stop in St. Paul, Minnesota, and this Cass Gilbert-designed Italian Renaissance Beaux Arts domed masterpiece. Work began on this building in 1896 and was finished in 1905. It was modeled after St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, and its unsupported marble dome is the second largest in the world. Above the southern entrance is the gold leaf sculpture, the progress of the state. The four horses represent the power of nature: earth, wind, fire, and water. Upon entering the south door, a large star representing the Star of the North is seen along with the portraits of various governors and flags captured during the Civil War. The beautiful capital of Minnesota was added to the National Registry of Historic Places in 1972. Heading due south on Interstate 35 is the state capital of Iowa in its largest city, Des Moines. The only five-dome capital in the country was completed in 1886. It sits atop a hill with a fabulous view of downtown Des Moines. A refined Renaissance style gives the impression of strength and dignity combined with utility. The dominant feature of this beautiful structure is its central towering dome constructed of iron and brick and covered with 23-karat gold. A statue by Carl Gerhardt entitled "Pioneers of the Territory" greets visitors. As we travel northwest from Des Moines, we make our final capital stop on this tour in Pierre, South Dakota. Completed in 1910, this colonial revival Renaissance building houses all of the offices for the state of South Dakota. With a total population just under 14,000, Pierre is the second smallest city to house the state capital, behind just Montpelier, Vermont. Now take out a number 2 pencil, for there will be a quiz.
Life to the Max is brought to you by Life Touch, photography for a lifetime.